Sir Keir Starmer is poised to join European Union leaders at an emergency summit on Monday, after the United States urged them to come up with ideas or be frozen out of talks over peace plans for Ukraine. The Prime Minister, who will visit Washington later in February, hopes to act as a bridge between Europe and the U.S. after the transatlantic relationship was strained by U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to speak to Vladimir Putin and begin the search for a Ukraine deal. Sir Keir said, "This is a once-in-a-generation moment for our national security where we engage with the reality of the world today and the threat we face from Russia. It's clear Europe must take on a greater role in NATO as we work with the United States to secure Ukraine's future and face down the threat we face from Russia. The UK will work to ensure we keep the US and Europe together. We cannot allow any divisions in the alliance to distract from the external enemies we face." Emmanuel Macron, France's president, is expected to gather European counterparts and NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte for the crisis talks. A spokesman for Mr. Macron said the Elysée was holding discussions on hosting an informal meeting of EU leaders, but that nothing had been fully decided upon. It came as Keith Kellogg, Mr. Trump's special envoy for Ukraine, said Europe would not directly take part in Ukraine-Russia peace talks, claiming he was from the school of realism and that is not going to happen. Speaking on Saturday on the sidelines of the conference, he said, "It may be like chalk on the blackboard, it may grate a little bit, but I am telling you something that is really quite honest. And to my European friends, I would say, get into the debate, not by complaining that you might, yes or no, be at the table, but by coming up with concrete proposals, ideas, ramp up defense spending." U.S. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are understood to be going to Saudi Arabia for peace talks between Ukraine and Russia, according to two sources who spoke to U.S. network NBC News. EU leaders are increasingly concerned that Mr. Trump, who desires a quick ceasefire deal in Ukraine, is willing to make major concessions to Russia that could harm their own security interests. However, when asked about Russian concessions, Mr. Kellogg said, "To me, there's going to have to be things like territorial concessions as well." Earlier on Saturday, Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, said the time had come for a European army to defend the continent, as the West could not solely rely on the U.S. "I really believe that the time has come that the armed forces of Europe must be created," Mr. Zelensky told the Munich Security Conference on Saturday. "Let's be honest, now we can't rule out that America might say no to Europe on issues that might threaten it," he added. "Europe has everything it takes. Europe just needs to come together and start acting in a way that no one can say no to Europe, boss it around, or treat it like a pushover." Mr. Zelensky warned that Russia was adding a further 150,000 troops to its army, despite crippling Western sanctions and heavy losses on the battlefield, a figure far higher than European armies. Mr. Trump, a frequent critic of NATO, says Europe must take on greater responsibility in defending itself, especially in terms of spending commitments. As EU leaders debated security guarantees for Ukraine at the conference, Mr. Zelensky warned that Putin was a liar and therefore could not be trusted to respect them. Putin cannot offer real security guarantees, not just because he's a pathological liar, but because Russia in its current state needs war to hold power together. And the world must be protected from that, the Ukrainian president said. He also said that Ukraine could not accept a situation where it is sidelined in peace talks between the United States and Russia. "We will never accept deals made behind our back without our involvement. If we are left out of decisions and about our own future, then we will lose," he said. Mr. Zelensky said that if NATO is not willing to offer membership to Ukraine as a security guarantee, an alternative would be the ability to build another NATO in Ukraine. He appeared to be suggesting the creation of a large European peacekeeping force that could deter any future aggression by Russia. David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, told the Munich Security Conference that Ukrainian membership of NATO would be the cheapest and best mechanism to secure peace, not just in Europe, but across the Atlantic.